Success in real estate in an ever-changing economy is more than just quick tips and tricks. Welcome to #InvestThis podcast, where you'll gain knowledge from the real estate elite, providing a guaranteed, unfiltered, honest take on what real success looks like in real estate. From technology and trends to strategy and action, #InvestThis podcast will uncover how to break through your capacity to achieve next-level results. Now, please welcome your host and real estate investment expert, Scott Bauer.
All right, welcome everybody to the third episode of the #InvestThis podcast. Today we have Josh Gayman with Easy Button Home Sales here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm awesome. Scott, how are you, brother?
I'm doing real well, thank you. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about your background and what you're focused on now?
Gosh, man, all things real estate, all things marketing. I'm actually a property investor. I've got over 20 rental properties spread out here across mostly Phoenix, but all in Arizona. And then also do a ton of wholesaling. We consistently do 6 figures a month here in our local Phoenix wholesaling business. I flip houses as well, primarily wholesale, where I go in and buy it, resell it as is or close to as is in the retail market. And we do a bit of that up in Portland, Oregon as well. Got a few of those going on up there as we speak. I'm a licensed realtor in Arizona, actually just going on 8 years right now. I'm redoing my credits for that. But I don't do a lot of retail real estate. I mean, I don't show houses and list houses. And I found that that's not for me. It's a lot of work. The investing is really where it's at. And then also I teach other real estate wholesalers on cold calling and how to make a lot of money with cold calling on steroids.
Awesome. So, you said a lot right there. You're wholesaling, you're flipping, you're wholetaling, which why don't you go ahead and tell, for those listeners out there that don't know what wholetaling is, explain that just a little bit.
So the concept is it's kind of in between wholesaling and retailing real estate. So on a typical, fix and flip, you're going to take a property and you're going to value add. And with a typical wholesale real estate, you're basically the equity is already there. So on a fix and flip, there might be some equity, but you're going to look to value add by making it really nice. And then you're going to sell it to a retail buyer, probably with somebody with financing, etc. On a wholesale deal, you're just, cash buyer, here you go. A lot of your listeners are probably familiar with wholesale. And on a wholesale basis, you're trying to sell it as is, like in wholesale, ideally to a cash buyer, but you are doing it on the open market. So the biggest difference is taking title. So you are taking some risk in that you're taking title. I only do it with monster deals that I can make, double what I could make on a wholesale fee, and it would still already be at least an average wholesale fee. So the really big ones. Or if you come across a really good deal and you just don't want to pass it up and it's an area that you don't have those wholesale buyers, wholetailing is an amazing strategy, and it's something I've done for years.
Awesome. And so do you think that that's something that's kind of new? Not the concept. Obviously the concept is not new, but something, what market is that going to work best in? Is that going to work best in, a hot market similar to what Phoenix is now, where you have just a lot of buyers out there with low inventory? Or do you think it would work in any market? I mean, elaborate on that a little bit.
As inventory shrinks, and as long as buyers are out there, and that's the kind of market we're in Portland right now. That's the market that a lot of markets are in right now. I mean, that's the current kind of state of the market for most at least mega metro areas. It can be a great strategy, but I think that the number one, the biggest thing is that the 2 times you want to use it are if you don't have cash buyers that you can flip a deal to real quick, but you do have the means to close it. And because fix and flip, that's a whole business in and of itself. A lot of people rush in and that's what they want to do because it makes so much sense. I can add value and sell it for profits. But they don't understand how much goes into that. And people that are professional flippers certainly do understand what I'm talking about. But with wholetailing, it's like I've got a good house at a good deal. If I don't have cash buyers, but I know the market's going to pay a huge profit, even after my holding costs, closing costs, commissions, whatever I got to do. That's an awesome way to take advantage of that deal. And then for me, if you have those cash buyers, And what you're going to want to, what I look to do a wholesale deal is if I can, like I said, double the profits. It's typically double or more the profits on an existing already good deal. So if it's going to be like a $5,000 deal, and now I can make 10, I'm just going to pass on that deal. We're trying to wholesale it for the $5,000 or $2,000 or whatever the heck I can get. I don't care, a little deal. But if I can wholesale a deal at 25 and I know I can wholesale it in net 50, then I'm going to wholesale it.
So it's really going to make, it depends on the price, right? It's a risk reward type of battle, right? Because like you said, if you're going to wholesale it, make 5 or wholesale it, make 10, doesn't really make a lot of sense to take that risk on that something might happen in the market and all of a sudden you can't sell this property. Now you're stuck holding the bag. But if it's going to be a big clip, then you're going to take that risk.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing is like, I think a lot of people, the biggest pitfall, I guess I would say with wholesaling, or thing to be aware of is don't take just something that could be maybe like an average deal or less that's not selling and then be like, oh, the heck with it. I'm just going to wholesale it and make my money and get stubborn into the deal. That's something I've actually learned the hard way. And that's why I say that. And I think it was like 2015. I was like 50-50 as far as split a deal. So it was like I wholetailed or flipped on some level 42 properties, and we wholesaled like 45 properties. It was very close. And what we found is that the whales are awesome, wholesale those. And that's kind of how I figured out my criteria. But what we figured out is all those deals that we were like trying to make, 15 or 20 grand on and they weren't selling. And we could have cut our prices or our profits to maybe 5 or 10 grand or whatever. We tried to wholesale those deals and we found out that on a lot of those deals, we ended up still only making that 2 grand or 5 grand or 10 grand. And those deals were a pain in the ass. And they got in the way of the monster wholesale deals. So that's kind of how I learned. I was like, that is just the energy that goes into them, unless I'm going to make a killing on it, or I'm still going to, and need to do that, I'm typically, not going to do that. But as the market gets hotter and hotter and hotter, certainly those margins are going to get big. That's typically what we've seen. The delta gets bigger, and wholesaling becomes more attractive as the market gets, hot and inventory shrinks.
So, that you kind of bring up hot markets again, and I want to ask you your personal opinion of where you think we're at in the market. We've been on an upswing for quite a while. Do you see any reason to see that stopping in the very foreseeable future? Do you think we still have some time on that?
So you're talking about Phoenix?
Yes.
You're talking about, so holy smokes, we're so poised right now to keep breaking out unless something drastic changes with the economy or like internationally with, like war or something crazy. We're poised right now. I see nothing. The banks aren't going crazy giving people money. Sure, there's economic stuff that could happen. Like I don't have a crystal ball, but the forecast is super, super aggressive. I was actually just looking at Cromford Report, who runs Michael Orr runs the School of Real Estate for Arizona State here in Tempe, and I subscribe to his stuff monthly. And we're starting this year higher than we've started any of the last 6 years. And if you look at like what happened last year and then seeing inventory levels that are the lowest they've been in 6 years, it's like there was a really hot stretch between like 2009 and 2011, just a few years when I was just like, year 1 to year 3 in real estate for me. I think I started like full time in 2008. It's starting to feel like that again, and everything's really healthy. And it was back then too. We haven't dipped since 2009. It's just continued to run up. But we had 2 really aggressive years. 2009 to 2011, and then again 11 to 13 was still pretty warm. But and I don't see anything. Our inventory, we're down to like a little over 17,000 active homes in Arizona. So we've got like, a couple months of inventory. If we didn't put another house on the market today and every house sold, we'd be out of houses in 2 months. One thing that is interesting, he actually just notated, Michael Orr did, that the number of off-market sales has been increasing a notable amount.
And so what do you think that means? Off-market sales are
smarter. Yeah, more people. The market's hot. Everybody's getting their real estate license or trying to wholesale a house, and that's normal. It happened back in 2005, 2007 as well.
So, that kind of brings up the point of, okay, yeah, we're seeing the same thing we saw in 2005, 2006, 2007, but we also know what happened right after that, right?
The difference was lending, though. Like right now, they're not giving money out, and that's what it was then. So I don't see something else. I mean, I know nobody saw it then as well, but right now we're not crazy. When you go back and look at those charts and the rates and everything, and like that appreciation, especially like at the very end of it was like a needle. So right now, I feel like, I mean, if they flooded the market with money, then yes, that would happen because there's no inventory. But I mean, it's still hard to get a loan. I mean, it's relatively, you know what I mean? It's not super easy.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have great credit. You have to have good history. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Now, this brings me
self-employed, and it's tough.
I'm sorry, say that again.
There's a lot of people out there crushing it that's self-employed, and it's a nightmare for them to get a loan.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said earlier that you own 20 properties. Is that 20 rental properties that you have?
Yep.
How long have you been building that up?
Started in 2012. The first property is right here in Mesa, Arizona. It was a mobile home on attached land. So we owned the real estate. It's in the city. There's not a lot of those, but there's a few of them in Mesa, parks like that, where it's not really a park. It's just like manufactured home on land that you own in a regular neighborhood. Bought it for $23,000, sold it for $85,000 last year, 1031 that one. We're doing another 1031 right now. So hopefully that'll put us up to, we're looking at sixplex actually right now. So we've got some money from a property that just closed a couple weeks ago. And that's kind of been the name of the game is Phoenix has been really good to us the last 2 years. Right now, the cash flow numbers are getting very tough in Phoenix to find. But we've just kind of ridden the market and then leveraged when we can, with 1031s and selling, taking some of that equity.
So the people out there that are, I mean, you just mentioned that the market is healthy, right? You don't see anything in the foreseeable future of a downturn or anything negatively happening. But at the same time, we look at home prices and they're even above where they were in 2005 and 2006. So, the market's very hot. Home prices are very high, but, and you're talking about margins being small. So for somebody that's going out there to try to find rental properties or wants to get rental properties, what would you tell them?
Well, looking for definitely like off-market wholesale deals is going to be your best bet if you can find your own deals. Obviously, subject twos are still home runs every time you can find one of those. So that's a situation where somebody just kind of needs out of their home. They don't have much equity, or maybe even they have slightly negative equity, but you can rent the house out for, what it's worth. Some of those types of deals. As the market gets really high, you do want to be careful of those, because if it takes a turn, all of a sudden you could have a bunch of negative equity. But I still really like those a lot for Phoenix, in most places.
Yep, absolutely. So, and now I want to transition to being out of state. You said that you mentioned you're up in where? Where else are you marketing to?
Portland, Oregon. That's my hometown. So we've done that market at probably a 20% rate of what we do in Phoenix, maybe 15% over the last, 3 or 4 years.
Okay. And is it, what does that look like for all the listeners out there that maybe want to get out of their market into another one? Explain that to them a little bit.
It's a lot to do if you're really going to do it. It's a whole other set of operations. For me, it kind of works. We can do it at kind of the scale that we do it. I've got boots on the ground up there. I've got a great broker up there who's a great friend of mine, and been a business partner for a number of years on some level. And this is a guy I've known most of my life. My brother's up there, who's his background is construction, and then he's a firefighter, so he's got days off and he can do stuff on houses. So we're able to do, wholesales work out really well for us in Portland, and they have the last few years with how hot the market's been up there. But it's just, I feel really blessed to have that infrastructure. Dispositions has been a lot tougher up in Portland than it is Phoenix, even though we make more money per deal. So that's one of the biggest things is, there's two sides to that business. And if you go to another place, it's almost kind of like a whole nother business. So for most people, I would say there's probably enough more business in their market they're already in. Just go out and do more there. But, you have the setup and the market and all that kind of stuff. And you have buyers who you can wholesale, they can work.
Awesome. So, and what's next? You say all things real estate's what you're focused on, but what's next? I mean, do you get really laser targeted and you say, okay, we're only going to focus on flipping, or we're only going to focus on wholesaling, or only going to focus on being out of the state? Or what is the next big push for easy button home sales?
For us, we're okay where we're at, and we're enjoying it. We always want to be growing and stuff like that. We really want to share right now, and that's kind of the direction where we're going. So with marketing, as well as coaching, with real estate investing, with other businesses and their marketing, a lot of things going on right now in the digital marketing space, so right now we're going to continue to wholesale houses, wholetail houses. Keep adding to the rental portfolio and trying to 1031, properties that we can get a better return and add units that way, quicker, and just kind of keep doing what we've been doing. But it really look to help other people with marketing, whether it be real estate or whatever.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great. I guess let me just ask you a couple of questions, because I think that it's important just to kind of get to know who you are as a person. Number one, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been in? You said since 2008?
Gosh, I started real estate, getting heavily, going to RIAs and, meetings in a Saturday seminar or whatever in 2007, I think it was, right before the market burst. And then in 2008, it burst. And then I got in. I got licensed in February of 2010, so I was full-time in 2009. 2008, I was still in the car business doing that, so yeah, it's been about 10 years. Gosh, that's crazy to think about. I got licensed, the market had just crashed, and there was loan modifications were a big thing in Phoenix. Everybody's trying to modify their loan, get a principal reduction, and the bank was stiffing everybody, not giving anybody one. Everything turned short sales. And a buddy of mine who had been in real estate for a number of years, and he kind of saw this, worked a deal with the company to start taking on their short sales. And I was already in the process of getting my real estate license, so he was like, "Hurry up!" So all of a sudden, we had a pipeline of 30 short sales. I mean, within a period of a couple of weeks, and all these people that couldn't get loan mods, and so we rode that out for a few years. And 2010 probably, I came across a couple big buy and hold investors, guys I'm still really good friends with. And we would, so we'd start double ending deals, wholesaling deals to them. And then, probably about end of 2011, 2012, that's when I really started maximizing my profits on wholesaling those or wholetaling those short sale deals. And that was an awesome couple of years. And then in 2014, the short sales just went away. Everybody that it was going to go to foreclosure or short sale, it had taken care of itself pretty much. We've had really healthy foreclosure numbers since then. And so I was like, shoot, what am I going to do now? And the wholesaling thing I already kind of understood, but they were only coming from one source. And that was the biggest thing I learned from that. Don't just rely on one source of marketing. Because we're getting them spoon fed, and that just went away. And then when that went away, we had done other things to find more short sales, but we were still being spoon fed by the market. And so that was when I really got into direct marketing. And came across Sean Terry, and I've learned so much from him, continue to be mentored by him. I know we're both members of his billionaire boardroom and stuff like that. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, marketing is what took everything to a whole new level. I was in the car business for about 5 years before I was in real estate. That's where I really learned how to sell. So real estate, a lot of it came naturally to me as far as being able to talk to people and get deals, make things happen. But sales plus marketing, that's the secret sauce.
That is the secret sauce. Absolutely. Do you have a favorite book, Josh?
I do. The Science of Getting Rich. I read it every single morning. The book's 100 years old. Bob Proctor personally gave me a copy in February of 2014. That book's changed my life. It's a simple read. Every single chapter is about 5-6 pages. So you can read the whole thing in an hour, or you can read a chapter a day. There's 17 pages. It's the most powerful book I've ever read, outside of the Word. Awesome.
How about a favorite quote?
Favorite quote? Gosh, there's so many. Like Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 1,000, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Michael Jordan says, I failed a million times and I continue to do it, and that's why I succeed. But my favorite quote still might just be "buy assets" from Robert Kiyosaki.
That's a good quote for sure. Just buy assets; it'll pay you, right?
Yeah.
And then
that's the secret to getting rich, like nuts and bolts wise.
Yep, 100%. Just buy things that'll pay you back, and then over time you don't have to work anymore.
That's it.
Now, you had mentioned that you're coaching. You're kind of. My next question was, how do you like to give back? And I think that I'll let you answer that question. But how do you like to give back?
No, I appreciate you mentioning it. That's a huge part of that. That's really the big why behind the coaching and doing that. It's like I know how to wholesale. I know how to wholetail. I know how to do those things. I know that I don't love big fix and flip projects. I know that I know how to make money, and I love teaching others how to do that. I love helping out where I can too with other things. To me, really something that's pressed on me, the last couple of years is what's going on. Like, we're so well off here in America. Even like the poorest person here is pretty well off. And I know there's a lot we should always be doing a lot for those around us. But, I like looking for places overseas where, there's not even like water in places where people don't have houses so looking at projects like that to seriously make like a significant impact, that's kind of like the driver now. A lot less than just like the day to day or like, how am I going to double my profits this month or get to a certain benchmark. You know what I mean? It's like with marketing kind of figured out, like that stuff comes in. I'm always trying to stay on the cutting edge of that now. But those are kind of the big ones for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is fantastic. Because you're right. We're so blessed here in the U.S. and just the fact that we have the businesses that we have and that we can generate the profits that we do. And how do we give that back? Because ultimately, who cares if you make a ton of money? It's all about how do you give it back and how can you make an impact in the world. So I love that.
It's so easy to get caught up and be like, can I make that big of a difference? Before I'm mega rich or whatever. But we built a house in Haiti right before Christmas. Our company did right here, Easy Buy Wholesale, and that it was a fraction of what it would cost to build a house in America, but that's very doable. I think it was like a little bit less than $5,000.
Was that with Kent?
That was with Kent Clothiers. And the foundation's ran by, I didn't meet him when he was in town, Frank McKinney.
Yep.
So I do look forward to meeting him, but I heard about it. I texted Ken. I said, yes, I want to buy a house. Absolutely. We want to build a house. He's about home sales. Absolutely. We've got a few kids that we sponsor in Colombia. 3 actually. So that's really special to us. It's just, but like that, those are big things to me. So I want to continue to be able to do a lot more on that kind of stuff.
That's remarkable. And thank you for doing that. Where can we reach you? Where can the listeners reach out to you if they want to either get some more information about coaching or if they want to know some more real estate information? Where can they find you?
The cold calling on steroids.com stuff, that's a private master's class. You can go to www.coldcallingsonsteroids.com. And then I also have a Flip Hackers Academy, which is a lifetime membership. It's got the scripts, the contracts, basically everything, how to wholesale real estate. And I talk about wholetaling as well and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So that's awesome. Whether you're looking to get into wholesaling, you already do wholesaling and staying involved in what I'm doing and the most cutting stuff. We do a call every other Friday with the private Facebook group for both the Cold Calling on Steroids private class as well as the Flip Hackers membership. So those are definitely where you want to find me. And I'm on Instagram as highgross14 and then, probably on Facebook too, but I hardly ever look at Facebook. So
Awesome. Well, hey man, Josh, I appreciate you being on the show, sharing, all of your information about marketing and your 20 property portfolio of rental properties here, your wholesaling, your wholetaling, and kind of what that involves. Your ability to give back and, just the fact that you went and you built a house in Haiti overseas and that you are continuing to give back by coaching other people on getting into the market and getting into the space. It's just fantastic, and I really appreciate you being here.
Appreciate it, Scott, man. It's always a good time with you, bro.
Yeah, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, guys.
See ya.
For more ways to connect to your host, be sure to reach out to Scott on social media @ScottBauer to suggest topics and guests you'd like to see on the show. Take a visit to hbsbholdings.com for additional insights and resources to achieve real success from the real estate elite. That's hbsbholdings.com.